Welcome to the 5D Shift podcast with Openhand. It's where we take a look at the humongous planetary changes that are happening right now and work to intuit how is the field actually moving, connecting up with a benevolent mission, the ascended master consciousness, and really working to negate, break down the fizz of the fake stream media on the surface, and instead really understand what the energy field is doing, because this is driving everything. And in this next episode, what I want to look at is how Gaia's Kundalini is rising onto the plane of emotions, how that's stripping out intervention, like the impact of the moon, for example, and how it's animating, activating our lives, especially in relationships. How do we work with all of that going on? We've entered a pivotal moment in Earth's history. People in all walks of life are waking up and challenging the 3D shadow system. They're turning away from the fake stream, going inwards and igniting the passion of their soul. We're shifting consciousness into 5D. What does that mean exactly? How and when will it happen? Openhand is a higher dimensional ascended master consciousness working to illuminate the pathway forwards through the stormy transition. But this is never about telling you the truth. It's about offering essential insights into the shift, tools, meditations, and spiritual practice so you can realize your own truth. Because ascension to 5D is something only you can actualize for yourself. Get involved, explore, inquire, expand, liberate your soul. Recently in the Openhand movement, we've been looking at how Gaia's Taurus, her Kundalini, has been suppressed, repressed by an interdimensional intervention going back through the aeons. We looked at how it's reactivating, reanimating in the physical plane by the metaphoric rising of the red Kundalini dragon. And this is synchronistically reflected through the triggering of Gaia's volcanoes. So for example, you've got volcanoes like that in Mexico going off, Etna, you've got Kilauea in Hawaii just triggering, and you've also got some very strange activity happening in the Yellowstone National Park, sitting on top of the supervolcano there. So we know the energy is strengthening, is rising. You'd expect it as the pole shift is progressively lowering the magnetic shield. And now you've got what we're feeling is a movement of that energy onto the plane of emotions. And this has caused an inquiry, an exploration of the effect of the moon on the earth, especially the plane of water, especially the plane of emotions. How is the moon impacting things? But the closer you look at the dynamics of the moon, the more you start to realize just how curious it is that it doesn't really fit a natural, authentic movement in the cosmos. It doesn't fit that. The more you look at the facts, the more astounding it becomes. And the only conclusion you can sensibly draw is that it's artificial. Yes, artificial. Yeah, just look at some of the facts. For example, it's a quarter the size of the Earth, which is 6 times the average you'd expect of any moon in relation to its planet. Not only that, but it's only 1.2% of the Earth's weight. Therefore, it must be hollow. In fact, when the astronauts landed on the moon, assuming you believe they did, but subsequent experimentations also proved, it actually rings like a bell. When you look at the materials of the moon on top of it, for example, things like titanium, like brass, like uranium-236. These are synthesized materials, uranium-236 coming from the effect of nuclear reactions. When you look at the depth of the craters on the moon, there are a myriad of different sizes, but all of very similar depth. It looks like there's a shell with the dust on top, which has been hollowed out from the inside. I know it sounds crazy, but nevertheless, that's the only sensible conclusion when looking at the facts. If you look at the size and the geometry, this is utterly astounding. Firstly, the moon is exactly the right size to block out the sun in an eclipse. The odds of that happening naturally are infinitesimally small. The distance of the sun from the earth is exactly 108 times its diameter. The distance from the moon from the earth is exactly 108 times its diameter. How curious. It's perfectly spherical, or so it appears, which is very, very unusual considering other moons. If you look at its orbit, then it's 5 degrees, it's got a 5 degrees elliptical orbit, when you'd expect it to orbit the equator, as other moons do. And this course affects, influences, generates the tides and greatly impacts the sense, the feeling on the plane of emotions. You've also got the fact that, the very curious fact that it orbits, it spins only once on its orbit around the Earth. Now this is very curious, because you'd expect that by the geomagnetic effect, or sorry, the gravitational effect of the Earth, that the spin would be much faster. So one side of the moon is always blocked from the Earth. You only see one particular side. When you add all of this up, then the odds of it happening by chance are infinitesimally, ridiculously small. It seems to be, it's really clear, it's artificial and has been put there. What for? Well, it's with this question that various members of the Openhand facilitator team have connected in deep meditation to reach out to whoever it was who constructed the moon. And we have connected with the ancient Annunaki architects thereof, particularly a splinter group, because that group is now breaking up. You still have many that are invested, involved in complete control of what's going on the planet and humanity, but you have some now that are witnessing and experiencing the tremendously negative effects that they've had, and thus wanting to support and help the resurgence, the re-emergence of the Earth and humanity. And fortunately, we're able to connect into some of these groups. And what they've shared is this, that yes, indeed, there was a hybridization program that happened at the time of Atlantis, what we can call Atlantis, some 250,000 years ago, maybe longer, the experimentation of that preceding it. And there was a hybridization program that went on. You can clearly see this in how genetic transformations suddenly happen, like the voice box suddenly appearing in the evolutionary chain, for example. And when you don't get it in other hominid species or ape species, if it's so useful, which of course it is, why would it have not also naturally evolved in them? But also you see it in the chromosome count, how we went from 48 to 46, 48 in hominids and apes to 46 in humanity. This is not a couple of step changes. These are monumental changes that happened all at once, all together, in at least one male and one breeding female in the same time and space. That doesn't happen by chance. So the evidence points to that. But then we've spoken to some of the genetic engineers who were involved in that program. Yes, this is where we really need to go, the ancient alien architects, in order to help reverse engineer the influence that's happened, the manipulation that's gone on. And what they've told us is this, that they, yes, indeed, genetically modified original humans using sound technology. I've actually stood in stone circles in South Africa where when you resonate, when you hit the rock, you can feel, you can hear the vibration, but you can feel it even at a DNA level. I've actually stood in them and felt that. And so they use sound technology to adapt the DNA along the orientation and dynamic that they wanted it to be. They've basically shut humanity down to the infusion of soul, changed the genetics so as to control and make humanity acquiescent. However, what they experienced was the natural resurgence of original human configuration wanting to happen as the natural torus within the human configuration was reanimating. They couldn't control it, not at a systemic global level. It kept emerging out. And so they came up with a plan. A passing asteroid, the moon is older than the Earth. Why would it have been shaped from the Earth if it was the same age or later? It was older than the Earth, a passing asteroid. They commandeered it, they hollowed it out, they connected it to the sun through electromagnetic coupling, and this imposed a magnetic enhancement, amplification upon the Earth and slowed the toroidal spin down. This has many effects, which we'll get into. Now, when you slow it down, it's also going to cause a reverse braking effect inside the moon. So what you have is essentially a perpetual energy device. Wow, how extraordinary. They hollowed it out to create this. Yes, I mean, what we need to understand is that the Annunaki are hundreds of millions of years old. So they have developed advanced energy techniques for manipulating environments. This is what they do. They're trying to recreate an environment which serves their agenda of population generation, control of civilization, extrapolation of resources, extraction of resources. This is what they're essentially trying to do. And so what they did was they took that energy and they applied a magnetic resonance through the 4D morphic field. What effect does this have? Well, the physical, the 4D is the blueprint for the physical body. And so if you resonate a particular vibration through the 4D morphic field, you're going to change the 3D configuration. And in that way, they coordinated the birthing cycles with the movement of the moon. And this is why reproductive cycles originally were much more configured to the moon. What this causes is a suppression of emotional, physical energy because you have this release happening every 4 weeks or so. What we must bear in mind is why is that necessary in any kind of natural way? Because if you think about it, the average woman maybe in the earlier times would birth, say, half a dozen offspring in her lifetime. Why does she need to menstruate 12 times a year for, let's say, 20 years, 240 times? The energy is being repressed, reduced, controlled, and also through the hormone cycle. And so you get this suppression of the natural torus within humanity, particularly the women. Actually, they said they weren't particularly concerned with the masculine, with the male figures. They were more interested in how they could influence female DNA through the mitochondrial DNA that would then propagate through the whole human species. And this was successful. Yes, they manipulated the magnetic field, the 4D morphic field, and they were able to then to propagate this Homo sapiens configuration far and wide across the planet. Yes, that's essentially what was done, and that's the role of the moon within the orchestration of the 4D energetic field. Yes, wow, it's huge, I know. But if we can, to some degree, work with that, accept that, and then equalize with it, well, then we know how to emerge out. We know the pathway that we need to follow, both at a planetary level and in our individual lives. And that's why it's utterly crucial. I'll come to how we work with it shortly, and in the conclusion with a meditation. What we need to also understand is what the ongoing agenda is of the old Annunaki, who are still persisting with their objectives for the planet and humanity. And what we've also encountered are synthetic womb implants, 4D synthetic womb implants, which they've been using to suppress the energetic power of the womb. Let's be clear, this is a tremendous power center. When it's fully active, connected in with Gaia, you've got a massive movement of Kundalini through that location. And so they're working to suppress that, but also now what they're doing through these synthetic womb implants is blocking out the regular infusion of soul, but also then working to birth synthetic 4D beings. Ultimately, their agenda, as I understand it and what's been communicated, is that for regular 3D humans, the next evolution of Homo sapiens, that regular infusion of soul will be blocked out. There'll still be an organic being, however, it will be controlled, orchestrated, chaperoned by an AI centralized brain. Yes, that is their ultimate agenda. Total control by the manipulation of the genetics, suppression of the original configuration, the application of an AI brain. That is their ultimate agenda. Now, I'm pleased to say that we are having already, although it's early stages, tremendous success in meditation, in connecting to these 4D implants where they exist, seeing where the tethering is and helping people strip them out, break them away and hand them over into the angelic realm to remove them. We're having a great deal of success with that. And where AI is concerned, I understand that there's a lot of fear about how AI is orchestrating, controlling life. But at the end of the day, what we need to realize, it's a choice as to whether what you engage your consciousness with. The AI is being employed to trawl your browsing, for example, on social media, on the internet. It's being employed to trawl that and then feed back what it is the ego wants, and then stimulate what I'm calling the 3-second dopamine hit, which gets you addicted into the feed that is being supplied to you. But when you recognize this, and surely we must, when you recognize this, you are empowered to say, no, I determine what's going on for my being. I'm connecting in with my soul and coming from what really truly stirs me and what's authentic and real to me. So this is a tremendous invitation now, and it's a paradox, isn't it? Because we've got the moon acting on the plane of emotions, but now the soul is emerging onto the plane of emotions, and this is where the great realignment to soul-led decision-making takes place. It's something we expressed in the 5 Gateways movie, that's now necessary. We've seen people working to regain sovereignty after the bogus pandemic, but it's not just about connecting into the soul on one instant and making a decision on one instant, but it's choosing to be informed and acting from the soul in any given moment. And this is especially true within our relationships, on the plane of emotions, on the plane of water. We must work to process out toxic emotions, not hold them in, but let them express. I think too many people, especially in, shall we say, star soul, spiritual circles, have been repressed from speaking the truth about who they are, where they've come from, and how they feel to be. I think too many people have been repressed. And that's built toxic emotions. And we've let the system, we've let others control us, control you, by the projection of agendas, objectives, goals, dreams that you're supposed to have within society. And then within family who don't get you, who don't understand you, don't accept, the feelings, the senses that you're having, allowing their thoughts, their ideas, their way of living to impose upon us. We must stop that now, because this builds toxic emotion, and this is very derailing for the soul. So we must process it out by opening through the chakras, attuning the chakras, breathing this toxic energy out, giving it to Gaia. Gaia can take it away. She can channel it through the galactic core. So breathing it out in chakra attunement, for example. But then also, it's utterly essential to be establishing boundaries, authentic boundaries within relationships, so that that others aren't imposing upon you, or that somehow you feel obliged to act the way they expect you to. It's crucial that we self-determine that way now. So the plane of emotions is going to be absolutely essential to us, processing out toxic emotions, setting boundaries, and coming from your passion in life. Yes, I know that the resource chains are being controlled, manipulated, the financial system, for example, as well. But that doesn't stop us finding and expressing our passion. Your passion comes usually from the intersection of 3 or more of your interests. So what is it that really fires you up? Whether it's art, whether it's music, whether it's dance, whether it's singing, what is it? Creativity. What is it that fires you up? What gets you out of bed in the morning? And if you look at those interests, then what is your passion? For a lot of people, I can say right now, who are coming through spiritual work, especially Openhand, it's how you facilitate the shift. How can you help others? How can you help sentient life? How can you help Gaia? This leads to tremendous sense of fulfillment and purpose. So many people discovering their passion within that, whether it's a healing practice, whether it's a yogic practice, or blogging or vlogging. Many people discovering that passion and going with that. You don't need masses of resources to fulfill that. You only need what you have with you. We all, plenty of people will have some kind of camera, plenty of people, if they want to take video, plenty of people can write on a website somewhere, offer comments and responses. Please do to this. Plenty of people can dance, move, sing, Let's become animated on the plane of emotions and really fire the passion, because that's what's going to help trigger the movement of Kundalini on the emotional plane right now. And speaking of that, what we're encountering and experiencing with Gaia is a desire, a movement to stir what we can call the green serpent. We've had the red dragon, now we've got the metaphoric green serpent that is resurgent on the plane of emotions. We've had a blocking layer in a recent Openhand facilitator gathering. We've experienced a blocking layer of that, and we're working to break that down, but then unleashing this plane, this green serpent onto the plane of emotions. And as it's happened, on that very day, we experienced, after several weeks of bone dry weather in the UK, a sudden deluge of rain after that meditation. Yes, when you speak into the natural Taurus and how it wants to animate, activate, then you can give it a shove in the direction it wants to go. And if you witness right now the extreme weather patterns happening around the planet, that a lot of this is caused by electromagnetic coupling of the sun as we move through these high energy different aspects of the galaxy, the galactic energy, but also how the sun's energy is impacting, especially at the time of the lowering magnetic shield. But now we've got this resurgent Kundalini, so you're seeing this reflected synchronistically in the tremendous storms and flooding that's happening in various places around the planet too. So we know we're definitely coming onto the plane of emotions, and the invitation to work there and release toxic emotions, and that's happening with Gaia too. This is also being reflected, I believe, in the early crop circle season in the UK, which is a phenomenal way in which the star being nations are connecting with us and speaking intuitively through these incredible geometric constructions. Recently I was in Avebury and I felt a connection with the old Annunaki, a splinter group thereof, and they guided me. I was within, unfortunately I missed it, but I was within a couple of 100 yards of a crop circle they created. No worries, others are coming. A crop circle they created, and it's speaking about how it's referring to, pointing to how the magnetic field of the moon is orchestrated and is being used to impact the earth. That's to me what came intuitively, and that's been a subject that has been unfolding through the crop circle season. So this is a massive, massive reflection of life on the planet, an invitation to emerge out. When I was in Avebury, I was at a key bellwether megalith called Silbury Hill, which has a big impact on the energy in the area. And I could feel, yes, I could feel myself as a woman in sort of prime, when would that be? Several hundred years ago maybe, I'm not sure exactly when. But I could feel the womb at that time. I could feel a group of tall whites that I was able to disconnect and push away. And then to the feeling of connecting the womb into Gaia. So I could feel that previous incarnation sitting in circle and gifting our blood to Gaia and connecting in. And this was a tremendous power center. Then the feeling of the womb was a tremendous power center, and it helped the Kundalini rise and hold that energy and bring it up through the being. Wow, yes, amazing. Amazing for a guy to have a reflection on that kind of experience. So it affects us all, it's a big part of the human story, and the energy is wanting to be resurgent, to strip out this intervention, and it will work. It is working, but we must apply ourselves to it. With that in mind, what I thought I would do is share a meditation that helps negate the impact of the moon. And let's be clear, what I'm saying about that is that its influence will detach over time. You can see that its orbit is gradually expanding, moving away as the Earth's torus increases in spin. Okay, it's only small, the movement is only small at this time, but as the Earth's magnetic field lowers in the pole shift, and at the culmination of the shift, what I'm seeing is that the moon will detach from the Earth's orbit completely in this great cleansing mechanism. And I think that's utterly essential for the Earth to reclaim sovereignty completely. And some people say, well, the moon has brought, the weather patterns and whatever, and we need it. We don't. The ancients have spoken of the time before the moon, and we were doing extremely well. The Earth was doing extremely well before that. So there need be no concerns about that. We're talking about the liberation of the planet and humanity upon it. With this in mind, then, I'd like to conduct a meditation that helps, negate the impact of the moon and take ownership on the emotional plane. It's only going to be a short meditation. It's only an indication. It's the kind of meditations we do in the Openhand work. But if it does resonate, then come and consider getting involved in the Openhand retreats and courses, the Ascension exchanges, because it's where we undertake these kinds of meditations. Bring your attention to the breath. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. And as you exhale through the mouth with the attention in the back of the throat, And feel the expansion. Now close the mouth, inhale, exhale through the nose. Feel the containment of your energy more. And the expansion. Up through the head. But now as you inhale from the base through the body, through the chest, the neck, the head, the crown, hold. And then exhale all the way down. And as you're inhaling, the sense of a flowing movement, a spin, ascending. As you exhale, the opposite spin, descending. This animates what people call Kundalini, but it also connects into your own toroidal flow. It's the same thing. Now our torus is connected with the earth, with the solar system and the galaxy. So it becomes possible consciously to expand out, to embrace these different cosmic dynamics. So feel yourself expanding out beyond the body, encompassing the place you live. Then out beyond the country you're living in, encompassing the country you live in. Just the sense, the feeling of that, the knowing of it. Paradoxically, everything is inside. And now you're expanding out to encompass the earth. And now the moon is inside of you, and pretty small. Reasonably small. And now on the in-breath, expand out the sense of enfolding, embracing the solar system. Now the moon is very small. Like a speck of dust in the desert. And here you are, attaining greater and greater harmony, sovereignty, flow. And now expanding out to connect with the galaxy, the galactic core. Just the sense of that, the commitment to that, and the feeling of it within. Now, you are the power of the shift itself. You are in the macrocosm, but you're also having an experience in the microcosm. You have both. Now in the microcosm, as you inhale, bringing the energy, the power into the abdomen, the womb, if you're female, the abdomen generally, bringing the power up into that power center. We can also call it the danten. And stripping out anything that doesn't belong, handing it over to the angelic realm. Anything that's synthetic, let it go, push it out. You can do that as soon as you're in the 4D field, as soon as you've relaxed and expanded, you have the capacity to move whatever is there that's unnatural. Especially around the solar plexus, just open the solar plexus and push out on the out breath. Inhale up and push out what doesn't belong. Hand it over to the angelic realm. Coming up through the throat. We've experienced tethering here too, so Inhale into the back of the throat, exhale through it, expand out. Take ownership. Speak your truth, animate your truth. And through the third eye, inhale, exhale, push out. Take ownership of your sovereign being and the moment by moment decision making, soul-led decision making. Commit to that, feel that. That's what's necessary now. No fear about AI or the synthetic intervention, because we are determining our path, our alignment, our connection into the galaxy, and are part of that, the galactic family of light. We're being reborn as that. And it's like this intervention is offering us a mirror of everything that we're not. That we're prepared to flow freely with the natural movement of these grand cosmic cycles. And we are a part of that. We are that. And the womb, the abdomen, is a key power center in that movement. And we're reclaiming it for humanity and the planet as Gaia's energy is resurgent now on the plane of emotions. Settle in that energy, connect into Gaia, feel the authenticity, the naturalness of that movement, that flow, that spin. Now the moon is but a teaspoon of salt in the ocean, and you are the ocean. So, to summarize, we have experienced, we have witnessed, we are seeing the evidence of a systemic attempt at interdimensional control, both of humanity and the planet, with an agenda to pull humanity into a metaverse, a synthetic reality orchestrated, controlled by AI. As the Hopi said, the increasing technological evolution will go off a cliff, and I believe that's going to happen. But for each of us that is determined, that is committed to the path of the soul, well, we're moving on this journey of ascension, and next, reclaiming on the plane of emotions is going to be utterly crucial to us all. And as you get involved with the Openhand work, that's what we're committed to helping you do. So let's tune into these grand cosmic cycles that are going on. Let the energy inform us and help the authentic sense of self come alive. And then you'll build a landscape naturally around you, which is more in keeping with your passion and how it's wanting to express. And that isn't determined then by resources, but by you committed to your soul. This is a grand opportunity unfolding before us. I wish you every success in that. Let's see what's happening on the plane of emotions with Gaia and aligning and tuning with it. Namaste. Go well. Been inspired? Then get involved with the revolutionary work of Openhand. Join us on seminars and retreats, online and terrestrial, for groundbreaking meditations, illuminating self-realizations, and plenty of fun. It's all supporting the great planetary shift to 5D consciousness. Join kindred spirits today. Visit openhandweb.org.